So the last thing that we did before the Christmas break was we made this sort of area where we clicked buttons and they would do certain things. When we clicked off the screen here, if we didn't click on the button exactly, nothing worked. So we can click anywhere here and it would work, anywhere here and it would work, but if we click here, nothing would happen. And to accomplish that, we set up color variables. And then in our setup, we made everything like what we see the first time. So we made our drawing area, we set up our colors, and then what we did was we set up our buttons by, this should be gray here. We would fill the gray button, make the gray button, and then write the red text on it that says red square because that's what we were drawing. And then we had a green triangle text in that gray square, and we had a blue rectangle, and then a black circle. And if you notice here, side by side with P5JS, so in case you're figuring out like, well, how's this going to work for me if I'm on my Chromebook? Well, I copied and pasted most of the code. I didn't rewrite this, and changed a few things I needed to change. But notice how it's working the exact same way, which is great that it is going to work that way. So same idea. Instead of size, we have create canvas. We made our 500 by 500, drew our background in, and we made our drawing area. We set up our colors exactly the same way. I don't know why some of them are bolded and some of them are not. Don't ask me why. It's really strange. But then fill is the same thing. Rect is the same thing. Text size, text, all this code that we've been using is all the same. It's just the big changes are the function, create canvas, and the let part. So the way we made this work on both of these is we needed this draw after our setup. It always goes after our setup. And why is it helps the program know to repeat itself. And we might be thinking, yeah, but this isn't like loops when it was repeating itself. But what it means by repeating itself is when we did stuff without draw, it would just show up once on our screen. Like think about our what's for dinner. It would just show up on the screen and nothing would happen. Draw allows us to click and then it I don't want to say more, but redraws this. So when we click it, it's waiting for that, and it says, okay, now when I click it, I should have the same thing here, but now just this black dot in the middle. When I click this one, it's working. And so draw kind of keeps the program open and helps it so then it'll redraw the screen with what we want on there. So this is, without this, if I were to just comment it out, we're still going to do the same thing here, but notice how nothing's working. None of the buttons are working. And it's because without draw, it just says, here I'm done. You can have void mouse pressed, mouse clicked, whatever you want to have. It's not going to work. Draw is the key component here that tells the program I'm going to be able to like interact and do more things once it's there. Same thing here, it's function draw. And all that happened was in our mouse pressed is where all the real work happened. And just to remind ourselves of how in the world do we do this, because in case you forgot about that was, and I'll show you on this one here since the code's the exact same, we just said the limit of where the click is going to happen. So we had to set our X limit between this far left corner and this far right corner. And notice how the X coordinates, no matter where I am up and down on the button, it's actually the same X coordinates. So that's why you always start with the leftmost part of it. And we got that from my square button here. This is the leftmost part was 360. The rightmost part, how did I figure that out? Well, it was 360 plus this 100 pixels. Same thing is going to work with my, I should go down to the red triangle actually, which is this one here. Or sorry, the red square. And then what happens with my Y parts is I want it from here down to here. And so then I have to check, well, here's my first Y value. And then I find this one by doing 20 plus how wide is that, like how tall is that button. So these second ones are always the starting x and y plus the height or width of your triangle or of your rectangle. And that happened for these three where we just did that. And it's a nested if statement where we say if it's within this x part, and then if it's within that x part and this y part, then we're going to do these things. Hence why there's all these crazy that shouldn't be there. This should be here. And then we can close off both if statements, because what I had earlier over here, which I should fix on this one, if I would have left this, it would say that I would have to click the green triangle before I could actually get the blue rectangle, which is very strange. So we can actually just do this and it will still work out. And notice all we end up doing here is we redraw the white area, and we have to do that because if we didn't redraw the white area, like I was pointing with my finger, if we didn't redraw this sort of area here, if I click the green triangle, it will be there. And then if I click the red square, it would show the red square over top of that, and then the blue rectangle on top of that. They would all reappear over and over on top of each other. This redrawing part sort of erases it and says, now this is the only thing that's going to appear there. If you wanted it to be that way, like so, let's say if I were to actually take this away, and then I run this, notice how the blue triangle just goes on top of whatever I draw because I didn't redraw it. And it's really noticeable with this one here because that one's the only one that you can, and I think the red square would work too. But these two, you would notice that you can see both of them. So if we wanted to see more things, we wouldn't redraw the white area over top. But because in this one, we just wanted to see them with the one thing that I'm drawing, then that's what's going to happen here. And the only hard thing was when we looked at the circle here, we can't draw it like we did before where it's a nice square around because the circle doesn't have edges. So we use this distance formula, and if you're in grade 10 math now, or if you were, it's literally the distance between 2 points. So we're checking the distance from the center, from where I clicked to the center of my circle, and I found that center by, if I go here, my center of my circle is right here from that code, which is the 410 this, and then I check if it's less than the radius, because I want to check that if I clicked from here to here is still less than the radius, and that takes me right around the circle. Then it draws this. So that's why when I click over here, there's nothing, but as soon as I click in that circle, it works. And it doesn't work out here. Well, I gotta check it. So it doesn't work right out here. It only works in that because we're checking the distance between 2 points is the distance that I click the size of the radius. So that was that big lesson. That code is posted. So again, if you are on a Chromebook, try to adapt that to this by changing the few things that we need to change. And if you get stuck, let me know and I can help you. But it's better for you to try to change that over on your own at first because this is code that we've already used.